Yo, what's going on, guys? So this one's on Apple, and I kind of wish I got to this one before, but I wasn't in the play, so I wasn't able to watch it, but I've always been running chart patterns and shit like this, and I did pick this thing up around 110 bucks, and I think I sold it. Like somewhere, I probably shouldn't have sold it, but it's kind of a slow mover in my opinion, so like it slowly climbs, and it was taking forever to break this 125. So I ended up getting out of that 125 area, and I had a couple buddies that were in, and I told them it's going $143. That was actually my target, and where did it go to? It went to 146 bucks. So obviously you can see it was in this big rising channel here, and honestly, though, even with that, I actually did expect it to break out of this just because of, the beautiful bullish trend up. And even still, does this mean that this thing is crashing? Not necessarily. There is obviously some downside potential, but as of right now, if you see this trend line here, this area is where it has always came, wicked, continued up. Came down, touched, wicked, continued up. So if you see right now, look where it bounced. Bounced right here. So, on the downside targets, if in fact it was to break this $117 area, if it was to wick down here and actually catch this $118 level as resistance and get like an hourly close below it, or a 4-hourly close below it, or at the worst a daily close below it, then obviously this might actually play out as the breakout potential, which is kind of a little bit on the scarier side depending on how much you're in and what price you're in at. But the potential breakdown of this pattern is roughly $102. Now, of course, you have this 50 weekly EMA at $105. I'm not too sure if it's going to break it, because what I'm kind of thinking is, if you look at the long term here, we have this beautiful, beautiful rise up here. I have no idea where all of that shit came from, but it's potentially that. What the hell? Yeah, I don't know where all those lines up there are. That makes no sense to me at all. What the hell? What is that? Is this a glitch? Huh. I don't know where the fuck all those... just ignore that. I don't even remember doing any of that. Weird. So on the daily here, we are about to get a death cross. Or we just got this death cross, actually, and we've obviously been continuously falling here. Now, although we wicked to this potential trend line, it's possible that we come down here and consolidate on this level, which is right around $118, $119 roughly. So, if you are picking stuff up for the long term, there's never a wrong time to pick some up when it's sitting at support. But of course, seeing the downside targets, you can make the choice. But as you see in the past, we have dipped down here. We have gotten death crosses here, but at the time of death crosses, most of the time it had a nice run up. So it's possible that this thing does have a nice run up here, and we come back up to test any of these levels here, depending on where this is when it does run up. Could be $127, could be $125. As you see in the past here, this 125.71 was resistance, and this wick here was right around close to the same. So I'd say 125. Maybe it'll come back up, test this 125, maybe come back down and hit this 120, maybe double bottom. That's speculation. I'm not sure where the stock market is completely heading right now. Obviously, many things had a big correction. So one thing I like to look at here is the RSI on the daily. Now, most of the time, stocks will come back and reset their RSIs. And as you see, this dotted line below that is oversold. So if this does continue down even just a little bit more, say it breaks that 117 and it's a fake out to stop people out and then comes back up, it's possible it'll get a bounce somewhere down there, or it'll just come down to this 119, which will push this down a little more. Then we get a bounce, or we could get a bounce here. So let's take a look at some of the smaller time frames. So you can see that we already kind of wicked down in this oversold area, came up, and we, created probably, I got to look. So, as of right now, it doesn't look that pretty. Obviously, you can see all these moving averages crossing, but sometimes when shit wicks down to a certain area, gets bought back up, it kind of shows you where the price is headed. So, it didn't quite touch here on the 4 hour. 118.12 was kind of that area. So, it's possible that it's just going to continue to bounce off of here, but it's also possible that it's going to break completely. And like I said, we had that downside target, but for right now, this is going to be a pretty big buying area due to the fact of us bouncing here so many times. So, I can't predict the future of Apple stock, where it's headed. I can tell you the downside target that I had, which was roughly $100 or $98, but I like that 105 area as that weekly EMA. But I did want to just go over this. So obviously, if this is going to end up being some type of bigger pennant or some bigger pennant or something like that, then eventually, longer term anyway, and this doesn't happen like overnight. It doesn't even happen over months. You know what I mean? This takes quite some time. But if in fact this does in a few months bounce back, or when it does, because it's definitely going to bounce back, obviously, it's Apple. But, say it does actually consolidate here for a while, kind of, doing a little bit of this, so on and so forth, and maybe it'll create a bigger W that'll bring it up here. That's a possibility. Or it could just come down, or it can just come down a little lower, get rejected, come down a little lower, so on and so forth, and then do something later on. That's kind of where I'm watching. So, that's kind of where we're at here. But I just wanted to give some potential levels here and some ideas. So another thing we can do here, just to look for some fib retracement support and resistance here, is, and of course nobody wants to hear it's going to $100, this and that. Honestly, like I said before, I am on TradingView, which is basically, this is the app that I use, is TradingView, and you can go over to these, and I have things that I publish and let people know on different entry prices and when I'm entering trades and exiting and so on and so forth. So a couple weeks ago, actually, maybe a month ago now, we were up in this range here, and I was telling people that we had bearish divergence, and well, it's actually going to make it too sloppy. Let me do this. We had bearish divergence, and we had a red TD9 flash up in this range here. So I was talking to people that we had the spinning top and red TD9 flash, and we were testing this resistance. And I was saying that we could actually put a short in somewhere up in this range, and if you didn't want to short it up in there in case it did break higher, then you would wait until it came back down to this 130 level. And then I said, if it does break this $130 level, gets an hourly close below, then we can actually short this thing. And I'll tell you what, I got so much hate on that. It was ridiculous. And as you can see here, we ran up, we rounded over, and we broke, which this turned into, because it's a rising support, this turned into 135, and that was the time to short. But of course, it stopped a little bit around this area here, and then once it broke, it fell. So, haters are going to hate. I was bullish on this thing, of course, but I did say that it could come back down here, and that's exactly what it did. And then I was thinking maybe it would bounce, turn into some type of W here, or head and shoulders come back up in this range, which it kind of looks like it did, but that's a very ugly head and shoulders pattern. But anyway, I got so much hate on that for people saying to short this, because they're just like, Apple's such a great company. Why would you ever short it? And it's like, I'm not saying to short it all the way down to zero, but you can make money both ways. You can do your call options up to this area, and then you could do your short options down, so on and so forth. And shorting actually was the move. So anyway, let me hide this TD sequential here. And I really wish I posted a video on this because we could have potentially had some stop loss ideas and exit ideas and so on and so forth. But needless to say, let me go back to the daily and take a look at what we have here. So the 0.236, which is a level that you really want to find support on, of course. And we're kind of consolidating underneath, and we did get a daily close below it, which isn't the best sign. But like I said, we could still bounce here. Maybe come back up, retest this 123.37, get rejected, come back down, retest this 119.56, and trend here until we decide to either fall and create some kind of, bear flag or something, which would then drop us down to potentially this next support, which is 0.382 at 109.89, with maybe a wick below to the $105 area. And then we could come down to this breakdown target of 99. Well, like I said, it's a little too soon to say. I don't like the moving averages on the daily. We obviously are in a short-term downtrend, and this EMA crossing here is not a good sign and usually pushes stocks down pretty far, at least another leg down. So it is something to watch here. So like I said, this daily RSI is pretty low. It can come a little bit more, but it should bounce pretty soon. Even if it dips a little further, I would expect that it would bounce a little bit here. So it's not, stocks don't just go straight down, although it seems like they have, but that's because it took that long for the RSI on most of these stocks to get down into these lower levels. But you can see here, most of the time when we get in this lower level, we do have a great buyback, and if we can maintain that strength, we can continue up. So we're going to have to see how this plays out. But this is just kind of where I'm looking for right now. I want to see how this is going to work out. I'm looking for some short-term buyback actions, especially with stimulus news and all that. But obviously everything has been going down, so we have to be cautious here. But I do want to just put this out there that we have some buy zones here, potentially at this 119, or even this lowest wick here, 118.44. And, I'm not saying that it's the best time to buy here because you don't know, it could continue down. But, if you were investing long term, you could do some buys at this support, this potential support. You could do some buys down at this 109.89 and this 99.04. And obviously, the lowest potential is the 0.618. At 88.18. I don't know if it's going way that fucking low. I don't think that we're in that big of a correction or crash, but we'll have to play this out and see. Obviously, as of right now, this... let's see. I mean, it kind of looks like a potential bear flag right now, but... I can't really... can't really tell. So if you were trying to make some kind of like swing trade on this thing just to make a little bit of money here, short term, I guess your best bet would be an hourly close. An hourly close above 125.14 with some good volume and everything. And then you would be able to run it up if this was, in fact, not a bearish pattern here. But let's see what the breakout would be. So, okay, so if you got an hourly close above 125... Come on. What the fuck is this thing? What is this? Weird. Okay. I don't like this new thing that's coming on my screen. So if you were to get an hourly close above 125.20 or 126, something like that, you could actually potentially play a little trade. Now, of course, okay, this is really pissing me off here. I can't even click. What is this stupid thing? I've never seen this before. I don't know. So if you were to get that hourly close, you could have a run up here of, obviously this target here is 134 roughly, but you're going to have some resistance at these points, 132.99, 130. That's the bullish case, of course. And then the bearish case of this would be, and this still would mean it has to break through this 118.25, wick down, and get an hourly close below to confirm a further downside. But it could wick down to these levels, 113.06, come back up, get inside here again, and then continue up. But that's just my target right now, based off of this. If we were to break below, it's tough to say, but if we were to break below this 121.21, we'd probably just come back down here, 118.35, maybe bounce back up, rejection, come back down, and continue. Like I said, the main thing is if we break this $118 or $117 level and get an hourly close below. That's if we're going to continue on down. We don't have to, so. But this is your upper resistance, and this is your lower support as of right now. So the lower support is really 121, and your upper resistance is 125.19. So those are your levels to keep your eyes on. And then your main support below to the T is 118.62. So I hope this helps. If you're a long-term investor and you're not looking to sell or anything like that, then obviously, you can buy some of these dips, but just keep in mind some of these lower targets, and then obviously your upper targets here, which you'd want to see us get back above 142 and as high 149 roughly with an hourly close above. Could be a massive breakout, but do I think it's going to get here anytime soon? Of course I don't, but we'll see how this works out. So anyway, guys, that's it. Peace.